Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to talk about something that has been going on for maybe longer than a couple months, but it's kind of dawned on me, and I've kind of thought about it because I was watching if any of you ever watched old Collider or Smoes know, there was a guy named John Roca. John Roca has his own YouTube channel called Geek Buddies, and he has a part of it called the Geek Buddies, and they were talking about this. This is where I heard this, and it dawned on me, and I started thinking, I'm like, yeah. Now, you all know my opinion about Zach Snyder and the Snyder Cut and all of Zach Snyder's vision of DC. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm really not into it. I think that the fan base around the Snyderverse and the Snyder universe is is one of the more toxic fan bases out there. I think the toxic unlike most other fan bases like Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, even like DC itself, like, because the Snyder fandom is not DC, and like I'm kind of like trying to separate that. But the Snyder Cut fandom, the Snyderverse fandom, is genuinely toxic. Like, I'd say that 78% of it's like 70% of it's toxic, and then 30% of it is people who just enjoy the movie. But it's genuinely toxic. I mean, they're loud, they're obnoxious, they invade. They won't quit screaming. They invade every fucking topic that doesn't even have anything to do with them. It could be no matter what's going on, no matter what's being reported, you'll just see that hashtag. They are at you all the time. I mean, if you compare it to like even the people who wanted to restore the Daredevil, bring back like any other hashtag of any other fandom. Even if you compare it to the people who are raging about Sonic the Hedgehog and the way he looks, the Snyder Cut fandom is far and above the most toxic fandom. At least around the Snyderverse is one of the most toxic, like almost of a cult. I make fun, but they really do have a cult-like mentality in terms of the worship that they have for the man Zach Snyder, and in terms of just how loud and how much they will come at you. And for a long time, at least for a while, I had a problem with Zach Snyder. I had a problem with Zach Snyder ever since the whole quote about him talking about Ant-Man and the MCU movies basically being, oh, well, I'll never forget that shit. And I saw someone on Twitter mention it. I'll never forget the day Zach Snyder, it might not have been Zach Snyder himself, but someone from Warner Brothers, probably was Zach Snyder, literally said that, oh, this is Batman versus Superman. This isn't some flavor of the week like Ant-Man. And I remember being like, okay, so you bastards just think just because you have DC properties that people are gonna just come and see it. That's basically what people, they thought that people were just gonna come and see their shit just because they have DC properties. But it did not work that way. Batman v Superman was a failure. Batman v Superman was supposed to be a slam dunk billion-dollar movie. It was supposed to be a massive hit critically and financially. It made $800 million. But when your studio is setting $1 billion, it came up $200 million short of the studio's set. So yeah, and it was a critical pan. Yeah, there was arguments, but generally speaking, most people agreed that movie was bad. Some people say, oh well, the Ultimate Edition is better, but it ain't that much fucking better. And Man of Steel was so controversial and so mixed that Warner Brothers felt that they needed Batman, to be in the sequel. Now, the thing that I want to really talk about is it feels like every day, even today, Zach Snyder is manipulating the audience, manipulating his fan base, and into getting what he wants, into moving things what he wants. I mean, he's straight up gone, and he's kind of gone back on his words. He's straight up gone from the beginning, from going, you know what, I'm just happy that I can get this out, that all I want to get is this out. And he was just happy that he could get the Snyder Cut out. And like literally, I was fine with that because I was like, you know what? That's why I haven't really talked about it. If you notice, I haven't really talked about it. I haven't made a video about it. Didn't watch this fucking Snyder Cut. I was like, I'm leaving it all behind me. I don't need to fucking watch. Trust me, I don't need to fucking watch it. My world ain't gonna change if I miss the fucking Snyder Cut. But constantly keep seeing him putting out these quotes in these comments about this that was cut out, about this thing he wanted to do, about this thing he wanted to do. And I'm like, but when the Snyder Cut was coming out, he was just like, oh, I'm good. Like, he was like, I'm good. I did what I wanted to do. You know, if I could do the other one, that'd been cool, but I'm okay. But he still is coming out with these comments. Oh, I want to do this Green Lantern thing. Oh, Warner Brothers is anti-Zach Snyder. Like the other day, yesterday, like he was just like, oh, well, they were giving me a hard time even when I was making the Snyder Cut. Like he just constantly keeps egging on his fan base. And he just constantly keeps egging them on. And the thing about it is, before I always talked about the fandom around him, not the man himself. Because it's touchy to talk about the man, especially since that tragedy that happened to him. And because, like, the whole situation with Zack Snyder is insane. Because not everything is, like, because the Snyder fandom would have you think that he was completely screwed over. And to a certain extent, he was screwed over. But as far as I've seen, from what I've seen with my own eyes, not me projecting, not me putting out, not me being a hardcore Snyder fan, being a fan of this thing, so my mind just immediately goes, from what I saw, is Warner Brothers was all in on Zack Snyder's vision. They wanted a vision that was unlike the MCU, that was maybe even the polar opposite of the MCU. They thought that they could get to the MCU level of money immediately because they thought that the DC properties were much better than the MCU and that by default people would come and see them. And when Zack Snyder put out Man of Steel, I get just from looking at that movie, it feels like an isolated movie. He did not know that he would be helming this big universe. He did not know he would be doing that. And when he put it out and it was mixed response, but it still made money, you know what? No media reaction, but we're going to get into this. We're going to do BVS. You're going to run everything, Snyder. You're going to be an executive producer on all these films. We're going to have all this going. We're going to have our own universe, and it's going to kick off. And then BVS came out, and not only did it not make as much money as they wanted financially, it was a fucking critical bomb. I mean, that thing was nominated for Razzies, and not only that, but it divided the audience right down the middle, just like Man of Steel. So Warner Brothers reacted. Now, that might be Warner Brothers' problem, even before they were bought by AT&T, was they just react to everything. But in my opinion, this was an appropriate reaction. Warner Brothers freaks out and goes, oh no, audiences aren't into this. We done put all these movies that are this exact same tone, exact same way in production. Like Suicide Squad is going to be dark as shit, and audiences have already said they're not into this. Oh no, what do we do? And at that very same time, when they were trying to figure a way to get Zack Snyder the fuck out of there, because they start to realize, oh my god, this ain't working. And at that very same time, tragedy struck Zack Snyder as he was working on Justice League Justice League. Because they wanted him out of there anyways, but he wasn't going to leave. He was going to finish this fucking movie, but tragedy struck Zack Snyder, so he had to leave. Which gave them the opportunity to get rid of him. That's how it happened. Like, everyone thinks, like I've seen, like, all the Snyder Cult people are trying to tell you, oh, they took advantage of him, they took advantage of this tragedy to take away, because no. They wanted to get rid of him because it wasn't working. And I don't know why these Snyder people can't get that. Like, I'm not gonna let this cult, the Snyder Cult, rewrite history. Man of Steel and BVS weren't working. Suicide Squad was not going to work. Like, you can't rewrite history just because you like this dude. And that's how it went down. And of course, the only reason the Snyder Cut even exists anyways, which has been basically confirmed by a couple people now, is because Warner Brothers didn't have anything. It's because AT&T wanted to make more money on HBO Max as quickly as possible. They did not have anything they announced ready to go on launch, so they just greenlit the Snyder Cut because the rough outline, the rough outline of it was at least, because the Snyder Cut was far enough along that it wouldn't take a normal length production / everything else. All they had to do was bring everyone back and finish things up. And like the Snyder Cut was far enough along that they could just finish it up, that they could finish it and put it out. They hoped that they could make money off of the fans, off the Snyder fans, and then they could let it go because they don't want to be in bed with him. And I'm not usually a corporate guy. You know how much I'm not really the biggest fan of Warner Brothers or AT&T. But if you're Warner Brothers and AT&T, right now, you have opened the door. You have this guy who is trying to weaponize his fandom to bully himself into a position. Like, that's what it looks like to me. The constant comments, the constant talking, this constant revving up of these fandom, just weaponizing him to get to do whatever he wants. If they let him restore his Snyderverse, it might be insane, because then you're gonna just start getting people doing that shit all the time. You're gonna get Edgar Wright Edgar Wright might start popping up a fandom trying to take down the MCU over freaking Ant-Man. Like, that's the thing about it. If you are a studio, and people keep going, why won't they do the Snyder Cut? Why won't they restore the Snyderverse? First of all, think logically. No one's thought logically yet. I haven't seen anyone explain to me how this would make sense. Think about it. If they restored the Snyderverse, there would be multiple actors who are working on multiple projects as the same character in a different universe. Think about it. Jason Momoa's Aquaman 2 will be set in a different universe than Zack Snyder's universe, where Jason Momoa is Aquaman, doing totally different things. So it'd be the same actor playing the same role in two different universes, parallel. That doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't work, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. So that's even that is how's that supposed to work? So even if they wanted to, they're trying to move forward, and the thing about it is, all I've wanted Warner Brothers to do is try to move forward in a new direction, because the Snyder direction is too controversial. Now, at least some Snyder fans, like the Real Rejects and stuff, at least they can see that it's at least they can see that it's okay, maybe we can just have these two things happen at the same time. This new universe that you guys want to do, and we get the Snyder Cut too. But they do not want to feed them. See, Warner Brothers themselves knows that the Snyder fandom is a cult, because they do not want to feed them. They don't want to feed them. They don't want to give in to them. They don't want to put any more fuel in that fire. But unfortunately, Zack Snyder is determined to do that. He keeps talking out of both sides of his ass. 1 minute saying, I'm okay, I can move forward. The next minute going, well, I did get kind of screwed, but it's okay. It's okay, fans. Anyways, I just think that some of the people who are fans of the Snyderverse and fans of Zack Snyder, they really need to just look at what he's been saying lately. Just look at the way he has been kind of just manipulating all of you to get what he wants, to get in whatever direction he wants, to get what he thinks is his. And the thing about it is, I think that sort of shows a bit of him. Because, the thing about, no one would be talking about Zack Snyder if the Snyderverse and all this Snyder stuff wasn't going on. And, I'm just going to ask you the question. Do you think that Zack Snyder is manipulating this fan base? Is manipulating them? Is pointing them like a gun at Warner Brothers to try to get what he wants? Because I personally think he's manipulating this fan base, and I think that's not really cool, man. I think, that's not really cool. There's something up there. And when you got me going I totally understand why Warner Brothers doesn't want to fucking deal with you, because you're problematic and you literally got a cult hanging on your every word. I could see. But anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and please comment below. I know I'm gonna get a lot of maybe negative comments for this, but I genuinely do think Zach Snyder is manipulating his Snyderverse fan base. I do. I think he's manipulating you guys, and like, you know, and just pay attention to what he's saying. Just pay attention. Just pay attention to what he's saying. Just pay attention to how he says it. He goes back and forth, round and round. He keeps putting it out there, and you just pay attention to it. It's just like, dude, it seems like he's manipulating you guys. But anyways, stay out, Drum Comic Movie Show again. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.